Hey, what's up, anime fans? It's your boy, Raysean from the Raysean Gadson Anime Podcast, or GAP for short. And on today's episode, we're interviewing special guest Henry Dittman, a professional voice actor who is known for Naruto, Digimon Data Squad, Tiger and Bunny 2, and Boruto. Join us as we dive into the world of voice acting, exploring Henry's personal journey and achievement, uncovering his anime origin story, and also sharing tips for anyone out there trying to get into voice acting. If that sounds interesting to you, then sit back and enjoy the ride. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Before we get started, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to introduce themselves, basically tell everybody what you do, where you're from, and also tell us your top 2 favorite anime characters and why.
Oh, I'm going to make this weird and break your format right away. Happy birthday, Raysean. Well, I can't believe you picked me to be your birthday episode. I'm stoked to be here. What's up, everybody? I'm Henry Dittman. I'm the voice of Kabuto on Naruto, among other voices. I'm mostly an on-camera actor who kind of fell into anime with Naruto, but I am an old anime head. I grew up watching Robotech, Voltron, the good one with the lions, not the one with the cars. And then my continuance into, I then slipped off into like Kids in the Hall, Monty Python, old Saturday Night Live sketch stuff. But my return to anime and being an anime watcher was with the series Evangelion.
Okay.
And I got into it on VHS tape about 30 years ago.
Wow.
And it wasn't that there wasn't DVDs. That's just how we got a hold of it, was VHS. And again, I'm very old, so I was able to watch it that way. That is my first answer for favorite anime character is, I can't remember if it's pronounced Asuka or Asuka. I think it's pronounced Asuka in Evangelion. She's the female lead in Evangelion. And that show messed me up. I'm sure that there's always great psychological themes in anime. It's one of the great things about anime is that a kid can watch it and think it's for them because it's animated.
Yep.
But then there's stuff for adults, right? But Evangelion, have you watched it? It gets messed up, man.
I've seen parts of it, yeah. And it's a very interesting show.
It gets messed up. And then maybe 3-4 years ago, I can't remember now, a really awesome voice actor and voice dubbing director, Carrie Keranen, cast me in the redub of Evangelion, which was like a great full circle for me. But I love the mechs. I love like the giant robot suits. I loved I love Pacific Rim. I even love Pacific Rim 2. I love anything with a giant robot suit. And my other favorites I'm sorry to do this and be egotistical, but it's a character that I voiced that almost no one talks about, which is bananas to me. And it is Kafk Sunbeam from Zatch Bell, which is the second anime series I voiced. Actually, maybe in the third after Digimon Data Squad. And he's this awesome. He's like, I want to say he was like in a sweater vest and he had a pony. Mm-hmm. Character Ponygon, voiced by Dave Wittenberg, who was like Merame. Dave Wittenberg, who was also on Naruto, but he had this awesome catchphrase, groovy, and be like rock and roll. And this was like this fun, out of nowhere, wild, trippy character to voice that unfortunately didn't last that long. But it's like the rare fan, maybe once a year, who will reach out and be like, I loved you on Zatch Bell. And that's one of my other favorites for sure. But who I am, I'm a dad. I live in Burbank, California. I've done over 100 television commercials. I've done over 100 IMDb credits. I got started as a television host. And then basically I did a play with Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt 30 years ago.
Okay.
25 years ago when they first were married. They first moved to LA from New York City as newlyweds. And after the play, they reached out and he was like, hey man, I'm on this show called Naruto and there's a perfect role for you. You got to go audition. And I didn't know anything about the show. I didn't know what a big deal it was. And I get there thinking I'm going to audition to be like a hero ninja. And I get there and they're like, yeah, so you're auditioning to be the asshole. And I was like, Yuri, But Yuri's the one who got me into the show, but I have been very fortunate in my career that I continue to do everything. So I just did an episode of The Loud House on Nickelodeon. I just did a guest star on a CBS show. I do independent movies, commercials. I still do hosting jobs. I still do theater and sketch comedy. If you can do it in front of a microphone or a camera with your clothes on, I do it. And I feel super lucky especially to be a part of a show that has made people so happy for, I think, literally 20 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I bet recording it, I bet you didn't think it was going to have such a long, people were going to think about it for so long. And then the fact that it's getting new fans probably every year. You know what I mean? That's the crazy thing about it.
It is the crazy thing. I mean, for the other Yuri portion of the story is, for 20 years, Yuri's been, you got to come to these fan meet and greets, man. You got to come to these conventions. People want to know. First of all, he's like, people think you're like weird that you won't come meet them. I was like, nobody wants to meet me. And then about a couple years ago, then my Kabuto got a Funko Pop.
Okay.
And at that point, Yuri was like, dude, and now on top of everything else, people want you to sign these Funko Pops. You got to come to these conventions. And I kept saying no. I was like, nobody wants to meet me, man. I don't want to go somewhere and just sit by myself. And then Maile Flanagan I met Maile Flanagan separately from that at the same theater doing sketch comedy shows. And she's the voice of Naruto.
Naruto. Okay.
So we've been friends for probably 15 years. And I saw her at an audition. We both had different auditions in the same studio. And she goes, Henry, you're an idiot. What is your problem? Like, people want to meet you. I'm like, all right. So maybe 2 months later, I did my first meet and greet, my first signing. And Yuri was there, and he was like, you're finally doing it. It's so good to see you. We're really dear friends, me, Yuri, and Tara. Tara's an amazing person. I'm like, yeah, I know you've been asking me for years. I was talking to Maile. She said I should do it. I'm doing it. He goes, oh, okay. Like, I've been asking you for years, and Maile said you should do it, and now you're doing it. So I don't do a lot of them, but like, first of all, the experience of having someone stand in front of you in tears that they watched you for 20 years. Like, my character, I think especially hits deep for people who feel separate or who don't know themselves or who are suffering in silence. Like, I have a deep emotional commitment to like the work that I do and to mental health. And the amount of people who have come to me sharing the mental health journey they had and how the character and the show helped them is amazing. But also, you are talking to people who are standing there with their 10-year-old kid and they're like, I watched the whole show 20 years ago and now I'm doing a rewatch with my kid. Yep. Or like women who got their boyfriend to watch it or men who got their wife to watch it. It's a multi-generational gift. And no, man, I had no idea. It was just a job for me to start.
Yeah. And then, especially since we had the pandemic, that had a lot of people rewatching it. So it made Naruto way more popular than it was before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And my kids are pretty sensitive. We don't watch a lot of scary stuff with them. And they're 8 and 11. And I think my 11-year-old could handle it. I'm not sure yet about my 8-year-old because stuff gets really dark with the zombies and stuff like that. The body snatching and all that. But I can't wait. When they're ready to watch it, I'll do a full series rewatch. I caught it bits and pieces. Like, when I knew I was going to do an episode, I'd get back into watching, get my head in it. Mm-hmm. There's still parts of it I have never seen.
Oh, man. You definitely are you more prone to the scenes that you were in?
No, not at all. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to separate when I'm watching myself. It's hard for me to separate the critic out of my work.
I feel you.
And I'm such a fan of the people, voice actors who are specifically voice actors. I'm such a fan of those people. And so many of them have gone on also to be directors. Joe Freya is a really great all-around actor who I met in the theater who became a director. Carrie Keranen is an actor that I met in the theater who's become a voice director. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is like, she's an amazing actor and director at the same time. And my big breakthrough moment doing dubbing was with her directing the episode. I'm definitely more excited watching other people's work. But I have great emotional memory and source memory when I watch the scenes that I did of the work we did doing it, especially certain episodes, you know?
For sure. Especially since you play a character that had such a long role throughout the story.
Dude.
So you've pretty much been able to see it, the whole story of Naruto. And that's a good thing.
And a crazy arc. Such a crazy arc too. Like most of the work I did a lot of theater and sketch comedy before I moved out to LA. And the whole messaging in LA now, especially now, like in the last like 10 years, since mumblecore movies started coming out, like Bottle Rocket and the Duplass films and stuff like that, the style of acting has become much more real and honest in movies. I think viewers have become more savvy. They're more key to when they're being advertised to and when it feels fake. And streaming television shows and all that, it's just much more real and grounded. And so we're always getting hammered as actors, make it more real, make it more real, make it more real. And so do this character who like turns into a spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert if you have not gotten through the whole series. Like turns into a snake/dragon and like has these crazy emotional, psychotic laughing episodes. Like you don't get to do that work as an actor very often. Yep. Unless you're like Gary Oldman or maybe Brad Pitt. Like it's just not that many actors who get to have that kind of Doug Jones, is like a bodysuit actor who we have the same manager. And he's a really dear man. Like he gets to do those kind of character transformations. But for the most part, you just got to be yourself.
Yeah.
So to get to be this dude and go batshit crazy was awesome. It was awesome.
I mean, I think I want to dive more into that, but I want to go ahead and let's say what my favorite characters are. And we'll get right into our interview. For my two favorite characters, I did choose one from Naruto. I didn't choose one from Naruto just because I had you on, because then I probably would have chose Kabuto. But I actually chose Naruto because, Naruto is probably one of my favorite characters because I always like if I don't like the main character of the anime, I don't think it's worth watching because I'm like, what's the point? So I always say like Naruto, I've always liked Naruto from the beginning. I like the fact that he's able to pull out emotions from even some of the scariest villainous type of characters and show that they are humans inside. And sometimes he can bring out the truth of the situation and make you think like, damn, maybe they got a point to be this angry. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that Naruto likes to take the chance and actually listen and see what's going on.
Absolutely. And Maile is like an incredible voice actor who is hilarious in real life.
Oh, she's amazing. Hilarious. It took me a while to realize that she was the person that was like in a lot of Nickelodeon shows and stuff like that. Like it took me a while to put those two things together. Like I was like, wow.
She was on Lab Rats, I think. At the same time that I was a dad on a Nickelodeon show called 100 Things to Do Before High School that had Isabella Merced, who ended up being in Transformers and the new Aliens movie and all that. She was the main girl and I was her dad. Wow. So we shared that too. We would basically do these Naruto gigs and also be on these kids
Nickelodeon sets.
Yes, it was. I think hers was more Disney Channel, but she probably was.
Oh yeah, Disney. Yeah.
Stuff. But it's all the same and it's fun. So what's the other one?
Oh, for my other one, it'll have to be Deku from My Hero. I don't know if you watch. Are you a fan of My Hero?
I haven't watched it yet, but it is literally the next thing on my list. I'm watching Silo right now. Well, we'll get to that. What I'm watching.
Okay.
My Hero is literally the next thing on my list to watch, and I got conventions coming up next month, and my plan is to start watching those like on the plane, in the hotel room, all that. It's awesome, right?
Oh, it's amazing. Hopefully it catches you like it did me on either the first two episodes when you get to kind of see our main character kind of show you that, he's a hero at heart. It don't matter if he have powers or not. He's still going to run out there and try to do something. And I think that was the moment that grabbed me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this show a good watch because I sort of like those people when you can realize like they are a hero no matter what. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the fame and all that comes with it, but at the end of the day, they just truly want to help people. And I like the fact that that's something that he always tries to do and shows. So I think that's pretty cool.
Nice, man. Wait, this is not the interview yet?
No, this is not the interview yet. That's the crazy part. We still trying to get to that. Before we get to that interview, I wanted to ask you, what have you been recently watching, listening to?
Yeah.
Been playing? I know we recently had the Super Bowl. I don't know if you were a Chiefs fan or Eagles fan. I was an Eagles fan. Not an Eagles fan like throughout the whole season, but I was an Eagle fan through the Super Bowl because I just didn't want to see a three-peat. And it's not that I don't want to see a three-peat happen. I just didn't want to see the Chiefs do it, you know?
No, look, man, I hear that. I am a long-suffering and very sad Dallas Cowboys fan because my dad is from East Texas. So that sometimes we get raised with a certain team. Is that a Steelers hat you have on that I see? Maybe. Like sometimes life decisions get made for you, and sometimes you have no joy for your adult life. And the saddest part on top of that is that I'm also a Clippers fan. And that happened. And so I have no joy. And that happened because I moved to LA and I was a Lakers and Clippers fan. But then when I booked my first national commercial, Clippers tickets were so cheap, you get buy one, get one free season tickets. So I got an entire season of mid-level, like closer than the luxury box seats to Clippers season tickets, $900 for the entire season. $900, 42 games. And like, there's just something that happens when you have season tickets to a team. It's just, it's impossible to not prefer them.
Yeah.
And if I could go back in time, I might have bought like a half season and then gone to a couple Lakers games. So I did not enjoy watching the Eagles win. Although I'll say this because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I will say this. I also did not want the Chiefs to three-peat. Mm-hmm. I also felt like, and I have love for Taylor Swift. I'm not one of those like Taylor Swift haters. I think she's great. I think she is great. She's very philanthropic. She's great for her communities. Kids love her. My daughter loves her. She got a vinyl record player so that she could get Taylor Swift albums. I'm down for anything that gets her into vinyl. But while I watched the Super Bowl, which was, can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah.
It was a dog shit game. That was a dog shit. It was a bad game. While I watched, though, I came to respect and love the Eagles. They're a perfect football team. They're a perfect football team. There's not a single aspect that the Chiefs did not lose that game. The Eagles won that game. And there's not a single aspect of that team. The only thing that would have made it better is if Jason Kelce had still been on the team. That's the only thing that would have made that better. Because did you see when the Eagles lost to the Chiefs, the moment with the Kelce brothers and their mom?
Yep.
Where like Jason, she was hugging Jason, and he goes, "It's okay, Mom. Go be with Trav. Go celebrate with Trav." And he's like, such a great big brother. But I'm saying this as a Cowboys fan. By the time it was over, I was cheering for every additional score. And it wasn't because I was hating on the Chiefs. They're just awesome, man. They're awesome.
I mean, the Chiefs is a great team, but I think what the Eagles prove is that, you know, the Chiefs have a good quarterback and a good tight end. What the Eagles, to me, prove is that if you make every other position, get at the best person in that position, what else can you do? Because, I mean, they only ran three people the majority of the game. They didn't blitz them or nothing, and they were demolishing the Chiefs. Like,
it was humiliating.
Like
it was humiliating. Like it could have been. It would have been it would have been a goose egg if they hadn't started putting in their second string. That a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, how come the Chiefs played great in the fourth quarter?" Because they were playing against the third string. They weren't playing against the players.
Yeah. That's the only reason why they got that one touchdown. Because I seen it when they got the first one, and he was like, "You know what? Go ahead. You guys can just get it." Like, but then like a 22-year-old kid, I want to say from like Baton Rouge, or maybe he just went to LSU, who was a rookie, and it was his birthday, scored the first pick six. Yep.
This just was full. It just was filled with great stories, and I say that also saying, Eagles fans are the worst people on the planet. They're terrible. Like they historically threw batteries at Santa Claus at an Eagles game forever ago. Like I've been at Rams games with Eagles fans. They're nasty. My friends went to the Eagles-Rams game this year, and I texted them. I was like, hey, are the Eagles fans behaving? And one of them texted back, literally right before you texted me, an Eagles fan in my section made a baby cry. Like, they're awful. They're awful.
I know they could be kind of destructive because their mayor had to come out and be like, oh, I know we're in the Super Bowl, but let's try not to jump on top of structures and stuff like that, because it's like,
they had
man.
To scold them, but you got to call them. But you got to call them champs. You got to call them champs for about 360 more days. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and if they got a team like they got like now, I don't see why they couldn't go back and do it again. You know what I mean? Because
it's not just the tush push anymore. That's a complete team.
Yep. And then they exposed the Chiefs, so I don't see how the Chiefs, they're going to have to real low-key redo their team. But I'm also going to say I don't think a lot of teams are going to be able to get 3 guys that are just as good as those guys to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
No.
You might get 1 or 2, but 3, like that's amazing. Like,
yeah,
I can't wait till when all their contracts come up to see if they're going to be able to retain all of them, because that's ugh. Yeah, they already low-key made a name for themselves.
I know it makes it fair, but the like salary cap contract stuff is the most annoying thing in sports right now. I think it's messing basketball up, and I think I see why you do it. You do it so that smaller markets that have less money can still have a complete team.
Yeah.
But like you put together a great team that has Karl Anthony Towns and Ant-Man on the same team, and then you have to basically let go of Cat because of contract stuff. You can't. It's just it's gotta expand. Yeah. They gotta do something. But I don't know. Maybe when they do expansion teams, it'll level out.
And then you got some of those teams that still take on that risk and just keep on with the luxury tax,
like the Dodgers.
I think the Golden State Warriors did it for a bit when they were trying to keep their teams together. So that it depends if you're willing to pay all that extra money just to keep your team together. But I feel like if you're winning, it's hard to not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see why they did it.
Or people have to take a hit. They got to do what Tom Brady did. I mean, Tom Brady won all those Super Bowls partly because he was willing to take a pay cut.
And I think that's a different mindset. I don't think a lot of people have that mindset of like just winning. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people get to that point where they want to get to the bag, and then after they get to the bag, it's like, you know, I'm just playing now. And then I feel like it's like, where's the winning atmosphere? And I feel like that's what basketball is missing. And I feel like some of it it's like so many games. I feel like if basketball shorten like the championships down to like 4 games, or maybe like you don't get 7 whole
best
games.
Of 5, like a best of. It's too long a season too, man. You have players that can't possibly play the entire season. Mm-hmm. But these owners are never going to want less games. They're not going to take less money. But the crazy thing about what you're saying about players getting their bag, and I'm not trying to get in the way of a player getting paid, but when you see headlines, and this happens more in football, I think, you see headlines like highest paid running back in the league or highest paid player in the NBA or whatever. No player in the Hall of Fame is going to have that on their plaque. It's championships, it's stats, it's numbers. Yep. And again, I understand somebody getting their bag. But like there are guys you never heard of who made $250 million in their career. That's not enough. That's not enough. And like if you're willing to take the pay cut to get more players around you, the ring is the thing, man.
And that's the thing that's definitely gonna get you in the Hall of Fame. A lot of these people got decent stats, but it's like, are we making this a stat-based Hall of Fame now? Like, I feel like you're making a whole nother wing.
Analytics. It's analytics, man. There you go.
True.
There you go.
But is there anything else you're watching?
Well, I'm watching Severance, which is incredible.
Okay.
Silo is all right. Like it's uneven. I don't know if you're watching it all, if you got Apple Plus or any of that. Like it's all right. But Severance is incredible. Like John Turturro and Christopher Walken, and apparently they got Christopher Walken to do it because him and John Turturro are best buddies in real life.
Oh, okay.
But that's the show. That's the show right now that's blowing my mind. But I think I'm ready. Like these are shows that come out once a week. The current state of the world and our planet and everything else is making me need to retreat some from the 24-hour news cycle. I have found it just about a week or two ago, I found that was making me very anxious.
Yeah,
all the next headline
What's next?
And everything. And it's not like I'm going to bury my head in the sand. I'm very active in all those different arenas. I'm purposely staying very vague. But I really think there's a reason for everything. And I think the reason why we're doing this podcast is because I needed to be reminded of my hero. Because I think what I need is something like I got small kids. I'm a very active and present dad. We don't have the TV on all the time. I don't have the TV on watching football morning until night on football Sunday. I TiVo my games, and when my kids go to bed, I watch them unless we're going to watch them together as a family. And so when my kids go to bed, I don't want to sound bougie, but I have a hot tub in the backyard, so I don't sound bougie. It is a inflatable Coleman camping hot tub, but it does still get to 104 degrees. It's not fancy. But I basically get in there at night with a laptop and a Bluetooth speaker and get in the hot tub and watch shows. That's where I decompress at the end of the night. And so it's my escape. And I think that like an anime in that environment, 10 o'clock at night, soaking in the hot tub, that's going to be a game changer for me. How many seasons is My Hero, by the way? Is it a ton? It's not like
they're up like to 6 or 7, but they're only like 20.
Making them.
Yeah, they're like 24 episodes each season.
Cool.
And they're working on the last season now. So you're kind of getting there at a good point if you can kind of catch up.
Oh, they're on the final season?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna literally hit this thing. That's how I hit The Sopranos forever ago. I watched it just in time to watch only the final episode on TV. Everything else on DVD. Oh, dope. All right, man. Cool.
For sure. I hope you definitely try that out and be able to do that. For things that I've been just recently been getting into, I would say anime wise, I've been getting into the new Solo Leveling. I don't know if you've tried that out or heard anything about it. Solo Leveling has been amazing, animation, action wise.
Wait, what's it called? What's it called?
Solo Leveling. It's SOLO and then leveling.
Got it. I'm writing it down. Writing it down, dude. You're hooking me up.
Oh, it's peak animation for a show that it's kind of like different in the fact that it's kind of you start off with a weak main character, then something tragic happens, then he just kind of becomes this OP character, and it's just amazing. The show is just. What
platform is it on? Where am I going to find it?
You can find it on Crunchyroll. That's where I mainly watch it on Crunchyroll.
Right. Love it, man.
Oh, it's pretty good. And then Dragon Ball Daima. I know everybody knows something a little bit about Dragon Ball, but they got a new season of Daima out. That's been pretty good.
All right.
Regular shows. I've just got into Albert Elementary.
Oh, my wife loves that, dude. She said it's awesome.
It took me a while to kind of get into it, but the show is hilarious. I think for a show that's like, it's very caught up with what's going on right now. So like every episode you can kind of pick back to a moment of like, okay, I can see what they're referencing in this and stuff like that. And the things they're talking about, I understand. Because a lot of shows you'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see what they're going for, but this doesn't really relate to me. So I just feel like they're really good in that aspect. And I can see why they're almost to syndication because it's an amazing show. It's pretty good, especially for actors that I wouldn't necessarily think are like, you know, A ranked stars when they started, but right now I would say they're all A ranked in terms of like TV show stars. Like I feel like all of them probably could lead a show because of what they've been able to do with this show so far, and it's crazy how you can get into something and it can just show what you've been trying to show throughout your career. You know what I mean? Like you just needed your moment to shine. So I like that for a lot of them.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, my wife likes to watch comedies and like stand up and all that stuff at night. And I like to watch trippy, dystopian, how people handle the end of the world type stuff.
Okay.
Weird,
so you
I feel like that's good for my mental health, which seems insane. But it is. Escapism.
Well, a lot of stuff going on right now. Escapism is the best thing because it's like either you try to decompress with what's not going on because of what is going on. You're just like, man, how much further can we go? But then you're like, he just be like,
that's right.
Long as none of those executive orders have my name on it, I'm just gonna try to pretend like it's not affecting me.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, man? To me, that's the bummer. The bummer, and I think it started during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like when I came out of high school, my first performing job was with this traveling singing and dancing show, but that traveled all around the whole world. So I went to like 20 countries or 15 countries, something like that, all around the U.S. But the theme, we would stay in people's homes. So like you'd go to Denmark, which is amazing, but then you'd stay in a Danish person's house. You'd be in Sioux City, South Dakota, and you would stay in a person like in Sioux Falls or Sioux City. My host family was a firehouse. So like you stayed in a fire station and like, so I had this world experience at 18, 19 years old of really seeing the world. And the themes of the show were like cultural unity and anti-racism. And I traveled with also the members of the cast were from 15 different countries. And it was this incredible experience that made me feel like a world citizen. And then I felt like during COVID, first of all, we all got locked in our properties. We all got locked in our apartments. But then on top of that, there was such a divide about how people approached it that hugely separated us. And I think we were already separated by the news media and politics. But then you literally were just trying to find common ground of, hey, the way I keep my family safe is like this. And unfortunately, on either side, the ideas of how that was different were so intense that all you could really do was decide not to associate or communicate with the people who felt differently than you. And by the way, that's also how the people felt who felt exactly the opposite of me. Oh, these people are overreacting. Oh, these people are wearing these diapers on their faces. Oh, these people are torturing their kids with masks. And on my side, we're like, oh, these people are being reckless. Oh, these people are ignoring science. All these different things. And so I think it left all of us feeling like all I can worry about what's going on under my roof.
Yeah.
That's all. If that's safe, it's safe. And that also included the people on my weekly Zoom call during the hardest part of the lockdown and the people I work with and my family and all that. But also half of our families, all of us turned out to think differently than we did. And unfortunately now, and that took away from me the world citizen part of my life. It made me have to compartmentalize my empathy, which was a great loss for me. And like, I'm very fortunate. Because we have a little tiny, it is a terrible, small, outdated 85-year-old house with a big ass yard. So like we were able to say, hey, well, we're going to connect as a family. We're going to turn inward during that lockdown time. And I feel like everyone's in a little bit of that mode a little bit now too, who are believing that these are bad things happening politically, which is like, okay, well, I'm okay right now. I'm safe. But that's a bummer. Again, I don't want to get all political, but that's a bummer. Part of it is that I feel a little bit like there's this massive separation for all of us.
I can feel that.
And I just don't feel like the lack of empathy is like what our country was supposed to be about on paper. I just don't think that's what it was supposed to be about. So that is a bummer. That's a bummer, man.
Yeah, I feel that before. I just want to add on to that before. I just feel like we don't have enough people that know how to listen and just, and not be offended. You know what I mean? Be able to listen to somebody and be like, you know what, you have a different of opinion, but something about what you're saying can be correct. Let's try to figure out how we can address both issues. You know what I mean? I feel like we don't have enough of that.
I agree with you. And the problem is that I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso. There's like that famous scene where he's like, be curious, not judgmental. It's an incredible scene where he's throwing darts in a pub. It's worth Googling Ted Lasso dart scene. It's amazing. But I think that's what we're like. So like you tell someone this is what someone is, and that's what they are. You know what I mean? You are Hispanic American, you must be a gang member who needs to be deported. You are a liberal, you must burn the flag and drink baby blood. You are a conservative, you must be a racist. And the truth is, we're all getting different news sources. We're all getting different news sources. And when I was a kid, before you were born, there was basically one news channel. You listened to the news and you decided what you thought.
Yeah.
Now it's all this opinion. All we're reading is people's opinions about what all it means. And so no, like there's no curiosity, just judgment. So I'm talking to my conservative family members and I'm going, you're liberal and all this stuff. I'm like, you know, I'm a military kid who flies the American flag on the front of his house. Like, you know that that's not all true. You know that I'm not drinking baby's blood.
I just tell people that
with turmeric in it for my inflammation.
I tell people it's hard to just try to be one thing. It's like, if you think about it, you're most likely more than one thing. But let's try to go back into the interview before this get too political. Yeah, I don't want to turn anybody off.
I think we did a good job of staying neutral on our stuff. Let's get back to it. Absolutely.
For my first question, I want to ask you is basically, what got you wanting to be an actor, and then what got you into voice acting?
Yeah, the corny answer to wanting to get into an actor is that I was a military kid. I traveled every 4 years of my life. I was on Guam for 3 years, little tiny island in the Pacific Ocean, 10 miles wide, 30 miles long. Right before Guam, I lived in the panhandle of Florida. It's basically the South. I thought I lived in a beach town. I did, but it's really the deep South in all of its beautiful ways as well. I'm not saying that eye rolling or throwing shade at it. And then I then went to Guam, where I was a minority as a white person. And also there's a fair amount of resentment towards white people and Westerners and Americans. Because basically, I won't go into the whole history of Guam, but basically the various conquerors or liberators, depending on how you look at how things went down, of Guam turned it into a welfare state. And so there was resentment towards the people who basically, the Air Force bases and all that stuff. It was earned resentment. But I had a father, even as a Southern father, who we got there and was like, we're going to acclimate to this culture. We're going to go to school off base. You're going to go to church off base. We're going to travel to South Korea and Japan. This is probably an important key later to my love of anime. And when we go to those places, you're going to do everything you can to not stand out. If we can get out of there and people don't know we were American, obviously impossible, we will have won. So we would make friends in South Korea with the people that we would meet at shops. And then we would try to, we would meet people at places and they would take us to these back road restaurants where we would walk in and it was like a record scratch. Just Koreans turning around like, who are these Westerners? So then when I got back to Florida and I'd had this incredible cultural experience, but what I didn't have was roots. There's nothing I had done in every one of these places. There was no like youth league soccer that we were aware of. And so I got back to the States in the 9th grade and tried out for soccer. I had not played soccer since I was in 3rd grade. I didn't have shin guards. I didn't have cleats. I didn't know how to play soccer. Like I didn't know the rules. So I tried out. I made it to the final cut. And during all this time, the theater teacher kept saying, we're doing a play. If you want to do the play, I'm like, no, I want to be an athlete. I want to be cool. We're talking about the 80s, 90s. Like, there wasn't cool geeks. It was like, I wanted to be an athlete. And then I literally was the last guy to get cut off the team. They cut 3 people in the last cut. They made one the 3rd string goalie, one the equipment manager. And the coach said to me, he's like, hey man, you got so much heart. I've never seen somebody who could not play soccer get so close to making a soccer team. But this is not for you. And I literally, sweating in my sweats, my shorts and all that stuff, went straight to the drama teacher's office that minute and went, you still got a part for me in the school play. So that's how I got into being an actor. That's like the funny answer. But probably the real way I got into being an actor is that I moved my whole life. So basically every 3-4 years I'd get to a place and I would need to make a new friend set.
Yeah.
Like my oldest friend I met that year that we're talking about, I was 15. I met this actor, Scott Leggett. He's a tremendous actor and theater director in Los Angeles. We knew each other in junior high school. We knew each other in high school. And we kept moving away. His dad was military too. And our paths kept crossing. Same community college, different colleges. But then he moved to LA a year before me. He's one of the reasons I moved here. He called and he's like, you got to move to LA. Let's do this. But probably my insecurities and my anxiety and everything else put me in situations where I was always trying to make people laugh, where I was always trying to create a social network for myself. I remember being a kid and saying, if I get people to laugh with me before they get a chance to laugh at me, that feels emotionally better.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
And probably the less raw, the safer, more ego protective version would be like, oh, I'm a creative person who always wanted to be creative. And that's true. But then why did I lean towards comedy, and why did I not lean towards being a leading man dramatic actor? Like my whole career, my representatives and other actors have been like, dude, why do you keep trying to be a character actor, a comedy actor? You feel like more like a leading man guy. Why are you doing these voiceover characters and these weird voices and all this kind of stuff? But it's because I think probably it came out of that life experience of wanting to be accepted. And then that opened a door for me to being tremendously creative. And then probably having a military dad and being a Gen X kid and all the things you hear, all the things you hear about being a Gen X kid are true. Yes, they really didn't know where we were until 9 o'clock at night. Yes, we really were cooking food on the stove in third grade. Yes, we were. Made me such a self-starter and gave me such a crazy work ethic. And I say crazy specifically correctly in that I would hear the garage door coming up with my dad coming home and I would get to work on something. There was no rest for me. It was not balanced, but it turned me into the kind of creative who always felt like I needed to be generating something. Mm-hmm. So even in college, I'd be the lead in the play and I'd be producing a night of monologues, and I was a dancer as well all through college. I'd be in the modern dance show and I'd be writing something and shooting something. So, but I think ultimately it was a desire to belong. And then again, I think I already told you that Yuri kind of is the one who brought me into anime in my biggest role. But truthfully, I was trying to make my break into on-camera acting, and a dubbing director, Bridget Berdine, gave me my real break on a game called Xenosaga 3. Or maybe it was Xenosaga 2, and then I did Xenosaga 3. And it's just an example of like, I did all this training to be a theater actor, but in LA, I did no training. And I got out here and like almost every job I did was an exercise in trying to fake it until you make it. So like I booked this dubbing game, and I don't know if you know like how the technical aspect of dubbing works. You watch the line, you get a sense of the lip flap, you read the English line, and then it's like a click track with drums. They play 3 beeps to get you on the timing so you know when to start the line. So it goes beep, 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 talk, right? Well, I'd never done dubbing before. So like I watched all these lines and everything. I'm in the booth freaking out. I'm like real imposter syndrome. I hope they don't figure out that I don't know what I'm doing. And like, so the first take comes out, she goes, all right, Henry, let's go. Beep, beep, beep. Okay, Henry, let's try it again. Beep, beep, beep. She's like, Henry, 3 beeps and talk. I was standing there, and that happened my whole career. But like, so I fell into dubbing and anime really just because I got out to LA and felt like, man, I've made this terrifying decision to go not have a regular job, give up maybe having the little house in the suburbs, although I've created that for myself through nonstop grinding. I really felt like, man, the only thing that would be worse than being 50, living in a small town and wondering what if I'd moved to LA, what if I'd moved to New York, what if I'd moved to Chicago, one of the Atlanta, one of these like acting markets, would be moving out here and then saying, man, what if I tried harder? Really, I just was willing to do anything. And when I moved out here 25 years ago, there was a real philosophy that you should only do the thing you want to do because you'd get pigeonholed. If you want to be a sitcom actor, which was my great dream, and I've had great jobs in sitcoms, you better not do hosting. You better not host game shows or do voiceover or do commercials because people will pigeonhole you. But think about like when Friends was a hit show, those 6 actors only wanted to do movies. Only movies when they came off. Think about the next biggest sitcom in your life. What is that? Modern Family or Big Bang Theory? Every one of those motherfuckers is in a commercial. And it's not big stuff. It's like Priceline, it's not Mercedes, it's Kmart, it's Florida Orange Juice. Now that's all changed now. The biggest stars have podcasts. And that kind of was breaking through. I was on a couple of episodes of Mad Men. It was one of the best creative experiences of my life. And Jon Hamm, even when Mad Men was the biggest drama series on television, would go up to San Francisco Sketch Fest, the improv festival, and would do live comedy shows as a guest on Jimmy Pardo's podcast and Jimmy Pardo's Sketch Fest, Sketchcast, and all these things. And so during the time amazing. And while I was doing that, every person was like, dude, what are you doing? Stop doing these commercials, stop doing these things. And my feeling was, dude, just say yes. Work begets work. Yeah, also, I need to pay these bills. But now it's turned out that's now what everybody does. But really, I've stumbled into anime. And Naruto ended up being so much more than I imagined. But because I had watched so much anime as a kid, I knew that the fans were not to be disrespected. Yeah. Okay. And so I did the first couple of episodes, and then when they were about to air, dude, I'm talking about like 20 years ago, there was not social media really.
So I get that instant feedback.
But there were message boards. And I did my first episode, and the director, Jeff Nimoy was the director. I've worked with him several times. Good dude. He kept saying, hey, you're supposed to be a young guy, you got to make your voice younger. So I made my voice younger, and it didn't feel right to me, but he was directing the show and I trusted him, and it just didn't feel right to me. And it's like, I was listening to the Japanese voice actor who never was making it sound like a kid, but I was like, all right, but if you go back and listen to my first episode, it's too high. It's too high. And and by the way, Jeff was right, because we knew we were going to come into this evil character. But then when the first episode aired and I listened to it, I was like, oh, this does not seem right. It's like really like almost up here. That's exaggeration, but it's not good. And I went on the message boards, and they were like, what the F is this? This is terrible. And my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, they don't know. I was like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do know. And so over the next time I worked, I feel like I did like 2 or 3 episodes in one session. Every episode, I was like, I did the first voice like this, and then the next episode I did the voice like this, and the next episode, like I kept
lowering
sneaky lowering it. But even though I didn't know what Naruto was going to be, I knew for myself that there was no such thing as an unimportant anime show. So like, even though Tiger and Bunny, which Golden Ryan is ultimately, that's the like triad of favorite characters I've done is Kabuto, Golden Ryan, and Kafk Sunbeam from Zatch Bell. Like the one person a year I talked to who loved Golden Ryan, the one person I talked to a year that loved Kafk Sunbeam, they're not less correct than the people who love me for Kabuto.
Yeah.
It's all equally important. So yeah, that's I told you I'm long-winded, man. That's the one that got me into anime. I just fell into it. I just fell into it, man. And I love it. I love the technical aspect of it. I love that there's this like getting the lip flap right. It's because I'm a theater actor, so I love being aware of your blocking and the lights and the sound cues and the props and changing your costumes real quick. I love that challenge of doing that while you're staying very honest in the work.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while, like however many episodes I am into the show when I battled Naruto, that first big Naruto Kabuto battle where he has the famous Kabuto line of dreams don't come true when you're dead. Mary Elizabeth directed that episode, and we both had a moment, me recording that battle, where she was like, "Oh, you got it." Where suddenly we weren't having to do like 5 takes to get the timing right. It all clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the genre. But yeah, man, that like I love doing anime dubbing. And that, so much so that I love doing foreign language dubbing of television shows and movies, and not just anime. I just love the challenge of it. You know?
Since you brought up Naruto, I want to ask you, that was one of my main reasons I wanted to bring you on. I wanted you to talk about your experience playing Kabuto and everything.
Yeah.
Since Kabuto is a big actor. I mean, a big character in the show.
Yeah,
I want to ask
episodes.
you, did you notice that he was having like a mental situation? Like that was what was struggling with his character when you were reading it in the beginning? Like, did you figure that was going to be his problem?
No. I think villains are the most fun to play. Everyone wants to play the villain. The on-camera stuff I do as a villain, it's fun to play them because when you improvise, you get to say all the stuff that as a good citizen of the world, you're not allowed to say.
True.
So you start improvising awful insults and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're so funny. You're so quick-witted." And I'm like, "You think the same stuff all the time. You think it all the time." But the other thing is you get to play these dastardly, arch, over-the-top characters. You don't get to do that really when you're a hero. Rare exceptions. But no, I didn't see it. I thought he was. So when you play a character, you never go at playing a villain thinking, "Oh, he's a bad guy, play him like a bad guy." When you do that, you end up with performances. Like I love Tim Robbins as an actor. If you've watched Silo, I don't get the feeling you have. You haven't watched Silo, right?
I haven't.
Tim Robbins feels like he's trying to play a bad guy. You can tell when someone's trying to play a bad guy. It just feels weird.
Okay.
So you try to play them from their own point of view. They don't know they're bad guys. They think they're good guys.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't know. And I thought that he was just this dastardly bad guy who was a masochist and a sadist and a masochist with Orochimaru and a sadist against everyone else, and who just sort of relished being evil. And I thought of him as this slithery, even before I knew he was going to become a snake, this kind of slithery, nasty character who just really loved being dirty bad guy. And maybe it didn't really, the episode where you get his origin story, like, was such a pivotal moment for me as an actor, because I got there to do the recording session. I didn't know that was coming. And the director at the time was like, "Hey, this is going to be tough." And I already told you the workflow, right? You watch the Japanese version, you read the English line, maybe you watch the Japanese version again while you're watching it, maybe you say the English line, try to get the idea of it, and then you do the line. And pretty quickly, like, the emotion that Kabuto was feeling, that you hear in my voice, was happening authentically for me, because I've been playing this character for 10 years or something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. And I was becoming heartbroken for him. I was a new dad, I think, at the time. So I was very connected to the idea of children not being loved and supported. That was bringing up my own stuff from being a kid, moving a lot, but mostly just like, it's what great movies do beautifully. Dead Man Walking, although that's not a timely reference, was like a movie I remember, like, see this death row guy and why he's like that. And I was authentically having those emotions and real tears. And as an actor, when you start to have real emotion come up, you don't want them to call cut. You want them to keep rolling. It happened to me with a movie, the guy who plays Superman in the CW show, Tyler Hoechlin. Mm-hmm. We did an indie movie in Texas years and years ago before he got that show, but he was already a pretty big deal actor. We played brothers, and in this hospital scene in the wide shot, we both started crying. It was beautiful, beautiful. He's a beautiful actor, wonderful person. And the director came running over and was like, guys, are you sure you want to do this right now? Like, we still have to get the 2-shot. We still have to get the establishing shots. We got to get each of your close-ups. And I am not that kind of actor. I have to work very hard to find that kind of stuff. So when it happens, I just have to ride it. Tyler could do that all day long. Okay. And by the way, now that I got kids, I probably could do it much easier because I have something to draw on. But we looked at each other, and there's just this little shared Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Brad Pitt, George Clooney kind of like twinkle in our eyes. And I think he felt down for the challenge of seeing if he could ride that for a 5-hour shoot. And I was just terrified to let it stop. And we did that shit for hours. And so anyway, so when it came up for me during that scene with Kabuto, we just sort of agreed in that moment, me and the director, like,
to just let you spit.
Let's do this. And so we stopped previewing the lines in English. I would preview it. I would watch the Japanese and record. Watch the Japanese, record. It's the least amount of takes I ever did on an episode. I never was reading the English lines until I was recording them. Okay. So they were all what you call a cold read. So no, not only did I not see it coming, but when it came, it blindsided me as hard as everybody else.
Have you personally ever felt like you had an identity crisis?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. I think so. I think it's the risk you take when you decide to be a creative person. Mm-hmm. I think it happens with parenthood too. I mean, it's literal creative energy, right? You create a person. Yeah. I'm using lowercase g here to not be offensive to any religious people, but like, it's God energy, creative energy to me. It's like the power of creation. I don't think that makes me God. I'm not one of those people who's like, we're all God. But like, it's a risky thing to look inside. It's a risky thing to go to therapy. It's a risky thing to create things and get honest with yourself, tell the truth about yourself. Okay. So I definitely think there were times where I had identity crises in my life. I think there's been times even recently where it's like Black Lives Matter protests and Me Too movement and things that sort of shined a light on privilege that people have. And I don't just mean white privilege. I think there's a lot of people have privilege. You're talking about, I'm hoping these executive orders don't affect me. That's privilege that have sort of forced me to look inward and look at how I walk through the world. Look at things I did in comedy 15, 20 years ago, comedy I laughed at 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, how did that, like famously, there's a Sammy Davis Jr. biopic where it's like, and maybe was it Don Cheadle playing Sammy Davis Jr.? It might have been, where like you have these performances where we're all doing racial jokes against Sammy Davis Jr. He's laughing, and then he steps off the stage, and you see tears in his eyes. So it's like, I think if you're doing it right, all these times that have made a lot of people feel like, oh, we can't even make a joke anymore. It's like, yeah, but maybe we really look at how some of this humor has affected people, how it's marginalized people, how it's normalized cracking jokes at a person for what their base is. That has given me identity crises. And roles that I paid my bills with, playing these douchebags in a suit, these like Jeremy Piven and Entourage jerk agent roles, the improv I would do on set doing those roles, and the way we all laughed at jokes that were misogynistic, and it was okay because I was being ironic about it. Then a couple of years ago, I was on Jimmy Kimmel playing that kind of role as a waiter in a sketch with Chelsea Handler and 3 female comics. And I approached them and was like, hey, I'm not like this. I'm not this kind of person. If you have ideas for jokes I could say that push the envelope, let me know. But it was the first time on set where a director had to say to me, dude, you got to be worse. You got to be nastier. but like I think we're looking at things through a different filter. But for sure, like you play a role that goes to a very dark place, that taps into your darkest secrets to figure out your biggest fears, your biggest tragedies, your biggest heartbreaks. Yeah, that it can mess with you. And sometimes it's unexpected places. I don't think you'd ever think doing a cartoon. And I'm saying that dismissively because I think that's a lot of people look at anime. They don't know how really deep anime is deep psychologically.
Oh, very deep.
You can't like Bryce. I can never know if it's Papenbrook or Pappenbrook. Like you see the episode of him doing Titan, the last episode, and like finishing and just tears rolling down his eyes. And I'm sure a certain amount of that is finishing the challenge of a long series and being sad that it's over. But also like these episodes are emotionally exhausting and gratifying, you know?
Well, my next question I want to ask you, when you play a character who starts as an underling, we still kind of talk about Naruto, and eventually becomes a main character of a series, how do you show that in your voice acting?
Ooh, I don't know if you do it like that. I think a big thing, I've messed around a little bit also in casting. I've worked some with casting, directing other actors for projects. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when it's a project I'm part of, but also sometimes just because directors have liked what I do and they want to help me work with actors. And a big thing that I suggest in scenes between actors is to mess with your status. And so they'll finish a scene and I'll be like, ooh, it's good, but it feels like you're approaching this low status. It feels like you're approaching this begging for approval. What if we try this and you feel like you're an equal with the person you're talking to? Or like you're in the driver's seat, or like you don't need to ask permission or take your seat at the table. And I think that is what shifts. That's what shifted for Kabuto. Mm-hmm. And it was actually, this is a super old reference. And by the way, I was not around when it came out, but like if you ever saw Pink Floyd The Wall, there's very famously in this movie a teacher who was a tyrant to his students, like physically abusive to his students, but then he went home and his wife and he became the little boy at home. He was abused by his wife. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like that was the prototype of what was going on with Kabuto. Like he had no status. He had no power. He was the lackey to Orochimaru. And then he went and took it out on everyone else in Naruto, in the universe of Naruto. So I don't know that I ever was looking at it as now he's the main villain. But I do, now that you're saying that, I wonder if that wasn't, this will be something I look at. You've seen the whole series, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's possible that part of why he became unhinged was that he didn't have Orochimaru keeping him on a tight leash and he was able to go nuts? Or was it just his Sage Mode transformation, all that stuff? Was it the unbridled power?
I would say it had to do with a lot of him chasing Orochimaru. It seemed like when Orochimaru died, he needed something to chase, and because he still was in that identity crisis of trying to figure out who he was. And I feel like he just decided that he was going to become Orochimaru, and then that basically became that thing until he was forced to kind of figure out who he was when he got placed under Itachi's jutsu, and then he ended up becoming his true version of himself, which I think is pretty cool, because I think when you look at a character from a beginning like a Kabuto, who seems more like a sidekick, he helps out Orochimaru every once in a while. Really, he seems like a character that just bounces around, because he helps Orochimaru, then he was helping Sorcery, goes back to helping Orochimaru. Orochimaru dies, he's in the background, you don't know what he's doing, so it's kind of like what happens. Then he comes back into play, and then he comes in talking to, kind of like what you're saying, like his status change, where he was always this underling type of character. Now he's talking to the major bad guys as if he's on equal with them, and that he has the same cards to play just like them. And I like the moment where he gets to meet Obito and they having that face to face, and he's like, oh, I know you're considered the bad guy, but don't think I came in here without any cards to play. Like, I'm just have as much as of this situation under control. So I like that about Kabuto, and I think his progression throughout the show is pretty cool to see. And the only thing I will say is, like, I wish they could have highlighted more that he was having this identity crisis, but I think it's still a good storyline otherwise. All
right. How did you feel about have you seen how his character comes back in Boruto?
Yeah, I've seen parts of it. I think it's interesting because it's like he's running his own little orphanage and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty cool that they're allowing him to have the freedom to do that type of thing. Because I always say, like, with everything that happened, it's like you want to keep them in the village because they have these crazy abilities and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, always like, once you kill a person, to me, it's kind of hard to like make it go away because it's one of those crimes where it's like people don't just come back, but but in fictional situations they can and stuff like that. But it's just hard for me in those situations.
Yeah, I my empathy for his character made me very happy that he found his place and he ultimately found healing. Yes. That said, I might have preferred the idea that, like, I might have preferred him to come back leading an army of children that maybe didn't always do the right thing. Yeah. Like, I would have, like, that little thing they do where, like, he's a good guy. Ooh, or is he?
Yeah, look, yeah.
I think that most people who loved him for being the villain. And by the way, golly, like, it is very divisive whether or not people like the character of Kabuto. People come up to me when I do these conventions and are like, "Man, I hate your character." And I'm like, "You realize you're complimenting me, right?" Like, it's the rare person who hates my performance on it. They just hate the character. I'm like, yeah, he's awful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always like to ask people that question because it seems to be 50-50 of people who wanted him to stay a bad guy or people who wanted him to get that redemption too.
I just want him to be who he wants to be. You know what I mean? To me, it's kind of hard because he was a bad guy, but he wasn't a bad guy that was doing things that he wanted to do. Like, it was like he was just following orders type thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of hard to be like, that's who he was. But winding down to our last two questions before we end the podcast. I know this has been an amazing conversation. My next question I want to ask you, because this is one of my favorite questions to ask people, is basically, is there anyone you want to shout out for being a good support system to you over the years that has helped you get to where you're at? And can you explain why it's important to have a support system in your type of career?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I'm going to shout out my wife.
Got to shout out your partner.
And it's not just to keep her, it's not just happy wife, happy life. When we started there's this old saying, actors shouldn't date actors. In fact, there's a saying, don't date an actor. And so when we started dating, that's what everyone said to me. Oh, don't date an actor, don't date an actor. But the truth about our work is that in a lot of ways, it's the most important thing to us. It's our creative expression. It's not the same thing as being a workaholic and doing another field, although it is akin to it. But what you get by dating a creative and being in a relationship with a creative is they understand when you're supposed to have your anniversary dinner and instead you get a last minute audition and you need to stay at home working on your lines. And they understand why you want to go do a show at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday. And then it turned out in the pandemic, you have somebody at home who can help you record your auditions at home, which was also very good. But my wife has been, she's the first person I ever dated who, when I apologized for something, reciprocated the apology. I always had relationships in my life, and not only the romantic ones where I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. When there was a conflict, I'd apologize, and I'd be like, okay, thanks for your apology. And she was the first person who was like, you know what, I'm sorry too. And I remember the first time she did it, like it was yesterday. But she's been such a tremendous support system to me. I'm gonna list off a couple. Yuri Lowenthal, I have to also say, has been such a light to me. I think that Yuri is such a successful voice actor. And as each step of my voice, the voice portion of my career has happened, I didn't have the community of knowing a lot of voice actors because it wasn't my whole career. And anytime I reached out to that guy about parenthood or relationships, or more importantly, voiceover, conventions, fan meet and greets, all these different things, he's been so warm to me. And the first signing I ever did was at an awesome spot called OG Collectibles, and he was there and walked me through it, and really a tremendous support to me. And then the third one is this actor and director, Scott Leggett, who this guy I've known since I was 15, who our paths have constantly crossed, who just through a ton of ups and downs has always been there looking out for me. But first and foremost, my wife, hands down, no doubt, no questions.
For sure. That's one thing I've noticed about the voice acting community. It seems like you guys are always a tight-knit community and you're always trying to help each other out. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But my last question I want to ask you is there any advice you want to give to anybody out there that's trying to get into voice acting? And for the last part of the question, do you have any goals or ambitions yet that you still want to fulfill in voice acting?
Yeah. I mean, I'll answer the second part first.
Okay.
Maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I was real close to getting an animation company off the ground, and I would have been the head of development and the head writer. We wrote a bunch of shows. We had a great artist. And I'm going to gloss over this very quickly because maybe we hardly talked about anything. You should have me back on your show. We'll have another one. I love talking to you, man. You're awesome. Unfortunately, the CEO and money guy ended up passing away, but it was like a beautiful 3-year creative experience that ended up sort of stopping cold. And I produced pilots that were live action pilots, shot like short 7 minutes and sometimes full 22-minute pilots. I've produced theater. I've written and produced sketches and sketch comedy and film stuff. And I love doing the whole thing. And so the thing that has not happened in my career that honestly I put on the back seat because I had kids and I need to support them and all that is creating and producing my own animation project. And my daughter drew a little sketch that was an incredible little character that we could do with Flash animation. But again, like I'm very busy. My wife's very busy. My kids have activities. And so it's just on pause. And if there's ever a time where I'm really bored, maybe the next pandemic, we'll see what happens.
You never know.
That is exactly what we'll do. I have a friend who is an animator, character artist and animator on a couple of Fox shows, who has told me he could teach me how to use the iPad animation programs. So that's the thing I have not done, is produced an original animation piece, even a short one. And I know that there's a father-daughter idea that my daughter and I have that I know what the project would be. I even wrote the first 2-page pilot. Haven't done that yet. But my advice to not only voice actors, but actors is to just start failing. Take classes and start failing. Start filming things on your phone. Start making things. If you are in a place that has an animation school and you want to be a voice actor, make friends. You're in school and there's an animation program. You're in school, there's an art program. You're in school and there's a theater program. Start auditioning for those things, trying out for those things, and most importantly, start writing. Start generating your own content. Because the quicker you're bad at it, and this is true for anything, if you want to be a painter, start being terrible at it. If you want to be a photographer, start taking pictures. So I think the sooner you start making things, and don't forget the story of me reading the bad reviews of my first episode of Naruto, like take the bad advice with the good. I think the sooner you start making things, and maybe more importantly, or equally important, training in those things, even if it's online classes, the sooner you will start getting good at it. You have to be bad at it first, and never, it's the Winston Churchill quote, never, ever, never give up.
Sure.
Never give up. Even if you have to do other things to make money, there's still great joy in being creative. So, all the things that I have in my career are because I was doing shows. And even when my career started taking off and I was still in a play, hosting a late night comedy show, doing an improv group, doing a sketch show, my agents were like, why are you doing this? And I'd say to them, oh, I want to have a career. And they'd be like, you have a career. Yeah. But what it kept coming back to for me was just make shit. Just make it. And if you're like, yeah, but I don't know how to do that. But probably you live in a town that has a community college that has an art program where kids are learning how to make animation. Mm-hmm. Probably you could literally Google, how do I make my own cartoons? Probably you could, take a drawing that you made yourself and cut it so you slide a piece of paper to make the mouth, and you could make junky animation. But True. If you just start making it and posting it, that's the thing. Like when I got into it, there was no way to post this stuff. There was no social media network for it. So I was doing sketch comedy shows in the same building where the guys who eventually made Mr. Show were doing their shows. You just got there and made it, and you got people to come there. Wow. Okay. Now you have the immediate resources. We didn't have editing software on our phones. We didn't have like GarageBand where you could create full perfect. Like you could literally make a TV show on your iPad. So make one. Make one. And immediately put it out there and make something different all the time. That's my advice.
For sure. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask you if you had any questions for me or for another voice actor that may come on the show.
Yeah, what is your ultimate goal? What would be a year from now if everything went into alignment and we got together and you were still, maybe it's a podcast goal, and if it's not, you still just kept doing this for fun because you're tremendously successful doing something else. And I asked you, you're doing your dream. What is it?
It probably would be doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the one thing I've always wanted to do, and the only passion, or something in public speaking, because that's something I've always wanted to be able to master and do. It's still something I'm still trying to get out there and still be able to feel comfortable doing, and to be able to feel like I can say there's things that are exactly on my mind, because I feel like that's just something that I struggle with too, trying to cater to people when I'm like, dang, I should just say what's on my mind instead of allowing how I think people are going to feel about what I say to affect what I say. So yeah, I'm still working on that.
There's something to be said for also, though, being a little bit of a people pleaser, so you're not just picking fights with everybody all the time. True. But I struggle with that too. So are you doing stand-up? Are you writing an act? Are you out there trying to mess around open mics?
See, that's one thing I'm trying to get into, do more open mics. I have been writing a lot more jokes and stuff lately, so I feel like I have a set list. I just need to just take the opportunity to do it. I feel like I don't have like a support system where I just like a few people that be like, you know what, I'll go there with you and see how it go. But I don't know. Sometimes I guess, you just got to do it by yourself or build it yourself. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Hey, I'll also say this. My friend Leslie Wolf, who's a stand-up and teaches stand-up and is also a casting director, has a class in LA. I think it's called Fresh Faces. Mm-hmm. Message me on Instagram. I can give you the info, but she's one of my Instagram followers, and I'm probably hers too. Fresh Faces Comedy or something like that. And her name's Leslie Wolf. She basically helps people go from wanting to be stand-ups and having a bunch of good ideas to writing a very personal act and figuring out who they are as a stand-up. She might have a online class. But also there, like, doesn't Cincinnati have a pretty good stand-up comedy scene? I feel like the comedy clubs in Cincinnati and Cleveland, like, they're good.
Yeah, they're pretty decent.
Someone's got to be teaching a class on how to get into stand-up, or there's got to be some like stand-up open mics you could check out. Because I bet if you went and watched some of these smaller 5-minute set lists, you're funny and personable and a great speaker. There's no reason why you couldn't just go do it. Just go be bad at it, man.
Man, that's what I need to do. I need to be okay with failing.
You have to bomb. Every stand-up would tell you they've bombed. You have to bomb.
Man. Ugh. And it's funny, it's not even going to affect me, physically or anything. It's just that moment you just fell in. So I just need to be okay with that. If you could,
that would be the advice I could go back and give to myself 30 years later. And it took me probably, I've known this for about 15 years. I would walk away from shows, and because it wasn't perfect, I would say it was terrible. remember this live show I hosted, this live sketch comedy show, and I was the host. And I finished, and I was talking to somebody the other day. They were like, you're great at this. And I was like, nah, it wasn't very good. I could do better. I'm going to keep working at it. And the producer yanked me by the arm and he said, hey, man, don't tell our audience the show sucked. And from now on, I'm going to give you a code. If people say it was great and you think it wasn't, you say, thank you, you're very kind. That's our code. And if you say that, we're going to know what you meant. But then a couple years, I started realizing, like, you only do the best you can do in any situation. That doesn't mean it's going to be the best you could do in your life. But I don't know, your mom yelled at you, or you got hit, you stepped in dog shit while you were walking to wherever you're going, or you stumbled, or you got nervous, you didn't get a good night's sleep, and you botch whatever you do. If you could have the goal of going and doing a stand-up, and if it bombs, knowing that was a good thing and being willing, like, come up with a line for yourself of saying, hey, everybody, I knew I was going to bomb at stand-up comedy at some point. I'm glad I got it out of the way on my very first night. Thank you for being here to watch you know what I mean? Like, if you could go into it ready to laugh.
Ready to own it.
Because then 5 years later at that same theater, I did a show, and afterwards this guy was like talking to me about my work. A couple of friends were around. The creative director of the theater was there, and this guy was like, well, Henry, you know how it is. Like, you're real arrogant about your work. You're great. And this guy next to me, Pedrick Duffy is his name. He's like, hey, man, that's not what he's like. And I was like, it's not what I'm like. But I know for a fact that I always do the best I've got in any given situation.
That's all you can do. I've
done podcasts before where I got off and I was like, oh my God, dude, I was terrible. But I did the best I could in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. 50 people in some little club. By the way, probably it'll be 8 people the first time you do stand up. Thinking you stink.
That's not going to affect me. You know what I mean? What's the chances I even see these people again?
The greater bombing would be for us to be 10 years down the road talking to each other and be like, I always did want to try stand up.
And that's the one thing I don't want to be. I don't want to be like, damn, that was something that could have been my calling, and I waited till the last moments of my life to be able to try it. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing I don't want to happen.
Fresh faces, Leslie Wolf. Ask her. She might even have somebody in Cincinnati who does that.
For sure. I'm going to definitely hit you up.
She might have a private thing. She might have a private thing. Tell her I said to reach out because you wanted advice on getting started in comedy. See what she says.
But with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode. I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for all the amazing work and for bringing some of our favorite characters to life. I also appreciate you coming on today. Before we finish, I basically just want to give you the opportunity basically to give everybody your social media where they can reach out to you and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, if you look up Celebworks, one word with an X at the end, celebworks.com, that's got a lot of ways to reach out to me if you're trying to get stuff autographed or get a hold of some of my merchandise. At Henry Dittman on Instagram is the way that you can see what I'm up to, where I'm headed, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to be at Anime Las Vegas in Las Vegas at the end of March, both days at the end of March, Anime Las Vegas. They're awesome promoters. They also do Anime Pasadena, Anime Riverside. So I'll be in Vegas at the end of March. If you want to come meet me, even if there's a lot of great voice actors going to be there. I know that's very overwhelming, but even if you're not getting autographs, just come sign my guest book. Because these live events mean a lot to me too. It means a lot to me to see the people who've supported the show and who love the show. And I have everyone write something to me about how they feel about meeting me or about the show or about what I did on the show. So come meet me. I'll be in Vegas the last weekend in March. I have another convention the weekend before coming up that hasn't been announced yet, so I don't think I can announce it yet. But if you follow me right now on @Henry Dittman at Instagram, I'll keep putting those announcements up there because there's more coming. And if you're like, oh, he's only in the Southwest, I only just started doing this. So if you've got an anime convention where you live, request me the promoters, try to get me a slot, because frankly, I'm excited to travel this country again. I haven't done it since I was in that performing group. And I would love to go anywhere. I'd love to be in Cincinnati if they've got a festival there. I'd love to go to Chicago or New York or Atlanta or small towns. If you've got a Funko Pop shop in your town that you think would like to set up a private event, suggest me to them and put them in touch with my reps because I want to meet the fans. That's for sure.
Wow, that's dope. I'm definitely going to try to reach out to my neighborhood anime con and see if we can get you down here. That would be definitely dope.
Yeah, man. I'm into it. It's fun.
And how in every episode, again, I just want to say thank you, listeners. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe wherever you're listening to. I will post the links to my guest social media, so if you want to reach out to them, just go ahead and click down there. Also, share this to all the people in your phones and stuff, so we can reach our goal of getting to 150 subscribers on YouTube, since we just now starting to get over there. So make sure you guys do that. And I just want to say before we end today's episode, peace.
Happy birthday.
Thank you again for that.
All right, Raysean. Hey, man, really nice meeting you, dude. There's so much we didn't cover. Have me on again sometime.